A high-performing team isn't something you hire, it's something you engineer. Now, we all want a team that can run with the vision, make powerful decisions, and perform like owners, not just task takers. But here's the truth that most people miss. A high-performing team takes leadership. It requires you to build the systems and create the space for A players to thrive. So in this episode, we're unpacking the real reason why some teams hit the ground running and never lose momentum while others stall, burn out, or quietly drift away. You'll learn why skills matter more than talent, how to lead in a way that inspires ownership, not just obedience, and the critical systems that you need in place before you ever make a hire. This isn't about micromanaging or playing boss. It's about becoming the kind of leader that people want to follow and giving the system that sets them up to win. So let's get real. Now, hey, and welcome back to Business Real Talk. I am so excited to be here with you today because this is a conversation I've hesitated to have because I felt like maybe I wasn't the right person to be having it. But the more I looked at it, not only have I been able to have an incredible team of one who works with me, but I've also been able to help my clients build amazing and incredible teams based on what I bring to the table, which is understanding leadership. So last week we broke down how to stand out in a saturated market with a true differentiation strategy, one that makes you the only option, not just a better one. But once you've positioned yourself as the go-to expert, you can't scale alone. We all know that, right? We need support, which brings us to this week's episode because the same clarity and innovation you use to stand out in your market, it's exactly what your team needs to perform at a high level. So if you want people who run with the vision, move fast without burning out, and you don't need to hire more unicorns, what you need is to build the systems and leadership that make high performance the default. So let's be honest. We don't want people who just take on tasks. We want team members that think like owners. Let's get that out of the way. The people who are making bold decisions, who are actually taking initiative and move the business forward without you needing to constantly handhold them, similar to what we want with our clients, right? We want to be able to get out of the weeds of our work and know that things will still run with excellent speed and alignment. So if you want to have team members who bring ideas to the table, who solve problems on their own, and care about your mission just as much, if not more, than you do, then you need to start building something that scales without sacrificing your sanity. Because here's the truth. You can't build a business that runs without you if nothing works unless you're in the room. Because here's what we need to understand. That kind of freedom doesn't come from you just hiring better people. I know that's everything everyone wants you to believe. It comes from building a better system and then being able to lead in a way that empowers those right people to thrive. So let's see if I've got this right about you, okay? Being the CEO that you are, you've probably hired a team. You've hired someone with great potential, and yet they underperform because they're unclear, overwhelmed, or they're constantly waiting for you in order to make the next move. So you become the default decision maker for everything, which means nothing moves unless you approve it, review it, or fix it. And instead of buying back your time, you just added more to your plate. And you start to resent managing people, not because you're a bad leader, but because you're leading reactively instead of proactively. You're putting out fires, you're answering questions, you're re-explaining the same thing. And eventually, you either slow down your growth or you start avoiding it altogether because the idea of adding more people feels like adding more stress. Trust me, I've been there. I've hired the business managers, the VAs, the salespeople, the media people. I've poured so much time, effort, and money trying to make it work. And ultimately, feeling frustrated and feeling like I'm giving so much of myself and then cutting ties and feeling frustrated that I just wasted so much time and not to get any closer to what I needed. And that's what happens, right? Most CEOs try to do what seems logical. You try to double down on hiring better people. You look for more experienced candidates, someone that's a go-getter and has that energy. You pay more, you offer better perks. Maybe you even try to motivate them with bonuses or a title. And you think The problem must be them. They're not the right fit. They're not proactive enough. Maybe they just don't have that magic quality. And so you can't quite put your finger on it. And you maybe start to think that you're asking for too much out of someone. So instead of hiring one unicorn person, you hire more people. You try to get them to focus on just their specialty in hopes that by diversifying your talent, you'll see some better results. No matter how promising the person or how specialized the talent, the results are the same. 2 months later, you're redoing their work, you're delegating something important, and it just ends up back on your plate. You spend more time managing people instead of leading the vision. And even that feels like babysitting. And the worst part, you start to question yourself. Maybe I'm just not good at hiring. Maybe I should have waited longer. Maybe no one will care as much as I do. So you're questioning your sanity and accepting your fate that nobody can do it like you do. And that doubt, it doesn't just slow down your business, it seeps into everything. You stop scaling because more team equals more stress. You start shrinking your goals because growth feels like pressure, not freedom. And you find yourself stuck in the middle, being too big to do it all, but too scattered to scale. And this is the breaking point for most founders, because the problem isn't your team, it's the system they're walking into and the leadership that they're following. So let me say it again. High performance isn't something you hire. It's something you engineer. That's why what you've tried so far hasn't worked, because you're solving a systems problem with people solutions. So no hire, no matter how brilliant, can fix a broken system. So if you want that team, that A-player team that takes ownership and performs like leaders, moves the business forward without constant handholding, you don't need more people. You need the right systems. Not just onboarding checklists or SOPs, but systems that bake clarity into every layer of your operation. Systems that eliminate decision bottlenecks, they remove the guesswork, they spark initiative, and they make high performance inevitable. Because people don't follow instructions, they follow vision. And if that vision isn't clearly communicated and backed by solid systems, it falls apart. And here's the key. Those systems are leadership. Real leadership isn't about barking orders or making every call. It's about designing an environment where smart and capable people can do their best. They can rise. They can take ownership in the mission. When the vision is clear, the expectations are embedded, and the team knows how to win without waiting on you. That's what leadership systems do. They don't just help your team succeed from day one. They help you lead proactively instead of reactively. They help you stop being the bottleneck and you start being the catalyst. That's how you build a high-performing team that actually stays high-performing. So let's break this down. Leadership systems are not about organizing tasks or writing SOPs. I want to be clear on that, okay? Those aren't maybe tools as part of the system, but it's about how you translate vision into action. Think about that. How do you translate vision into action? When you do this, you create consistent and scalable performance without your constant involvement. Very similar to the client acquisition side of things, where we want people to be able to get success going through your sales process without constant involvement. Same thing with your client delivery and retention. You want your clients to see success without constant involvement. So let me give you a quick example. A few months ago, a client came to me completely burnt out. She had hired talented people, invested in team training. She had even worked with an ops expert to help build out this onboarding with SOPs, all the works, all the things that you could possibly think about. But she was still spending dozens of hours a week reviewing work, answering questions, giving feedback, cleaning up mistakes. And even though her team had potential, everything still ran through her. So she was exhausted, naturally. She was frustrated and wondering, what the heck am I missing? So here's what I told her. She had strong operational systems, but what she was missing was leadership systems. See, her team didn't have a deep understanding of her method, so they couldn't see how her decisions connected to the bigger picture. They didn't know how to think like her, so they couldn't lead like her. They weren't being set up to do that. So every time something came up, whether it was a proposal, marketing content, or a client question, they defaulted to her because she was still the only expert, the only authority, the only one who truly got it. So what happens is when that comes up, no amount of hiring, onboarding, or delegation is going to save your business. Because even with a great team, you stay stuck as the bottleneck. That's why building a high performance team takes more. They need to understand your business as deeply as you do, so they can own entire parts of your business without you needing to jump in, approve, or rescue it. You are now able to equip your team with the thinking, context and clarity that they need that allows them to own an outcome, not just complete tasks. So let's talk about the formula. It's pretty simple. Indoctrination systems plus proactive leadership equals high-performing teams. So let's start with indoctrination systems. Indoctrination isn't about control. It's about clarity. So these aren't about rules and checklists. It's about installing your way of thinking into your team. It's the system that helps your team start to think like you, act with confidence, and make decisions that are aligned without needing constant input. Because if your team only knows what to do, but not why you do it or how you make decisions, they're always going to depend on you. So I want you to think about it this way. You cannot expect people to lead if they don't understand how you think. It's like a GPS. Even the best driver is going to get lost. But indoctrination systems are like installing your business's internal navigation into your team's head. So they don't just need to know the destination, aka the tasks. They need to understand the route, the why, the how to adjust when things change. So when you give your team the step-by-step on how you think, what matters most, and how to make aligned decisions, then when things go off track, they know how to get back on track. So let me give you an example. One of my clients runs a high-end design firm, and she had hired an amazing project manager. She was great at logistics, she was great with clients, but truly without understanding her aesthetic or how she makes creative calls, that project manager had to check in constantly. Now, once we built her indoctrination systems, breaking down her decision-making logic, her non-negotiables, how she evaluates creative direction, her project manager started handling entire client projects without her needing to step in once. She was handling things. She was making calls that the owner would have made herself. Suddenly, she wasn't just reviewing everything, she was only reviewing results. So when you have indoctrination systems, you're not just managing people, you're getting your people to embody your method. So I want you to think about it. Your method is the key to an indoctrination system, because when they understand your why, your how, your reasoning behind the things that you do, they understand three key things. One, they understand your method, right? Your team understands why you do the things the way you do. They know how to repeat it with confidence. They don't feel like they're unsure about the what, the why, the how, okay? But it also provides context. So decisions aren't just reactive, they're rooted in strategy and purpose. And it creates shared language. So your team doesn't just do tasks, they understand the intention behind the work. They can speak the same high performance language that you do. So they combine this clear understanding of your methodology, the key behind not only your mission, but your entire body of work and your messaging. So they know not only what to say, but how to say it. So it fuels your brand voice and expands your work while you're eating dinner or you're across the world. So similarly to how you indoctrinate buyers into your work, you indoctrinate your team into your world. This is how you go from being the only expert to building a team of leaders who can carry the vision forward. Without this, people stay dependent. With it, they start to drive results on their own. So once your team understands how you think, they need the systems that actually empower them to act like leaders. So proactive leadership is what turns them from helpers into high performers. So right now, most leadership is very reactive. You're probably solving problems after they happen. You're jumping in when something goes off track, you're correcting instead of engineering this high performance. So think of it this way. Reactive leadership is like playing whack-a-mole, right? You're jumping in to fix problems as they pop up. Proactive leadership, on the other hand, is like coaching a championship team. You train hard before every single game. So everyone knows the plays. They can adapt mid-game without waiting for the call. They know exactly what to do. That's where proactive leadership flips everything. It's about setting your team up for success before problems arise. Proactive leaders don't bark orders. They build frameworks that allow others to lead. I've shared this previously, but I built out an entire marketing system, the frameworks that allow me to be able to simply produce content, and then everything else is owned by Julia on my team, meaning she handles the entire marketing process. I don't have to worry about whether it will get done correctly. I don't have to wonder if she knows what to put where or how to do things or to match my voice. I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to oversee everything as it goes out. There's no, hey, do you want to check this before it happens? She has it handled. And even better, she applies her own style and strategic thinking to the work that she puts out because she's not constrained by our systems. She's empowered by them. She knows what goes into them, but she knows how to take that and apply it in her own way. So proactive leadership is not only about how you lead lead, but it's about how you set up your team to lead too. So it creates clarity around decision making because now people know who owns what and how decisions are made. It creates performance expectations because there are clear standards that drive results without handholding. And it creates these feedback rhythms. So growth and improvement are built into the culture, not saved for quarterly reviews. Okay. And it creates strategic delegation. You're not just handing off tasks, but you're transferring the ownership. This is how you become a visionary leader, not the exhausted manager that's chasing fires. Now, when both of these work together, you no longer need to push your team. You've built a system where they naturally perform at a high level because they're equipped, they're empowered, they're enrolled in the mission. That's how you build a business that scales with less stress and not more. And it's the power behind the Easy Yes method, right? Everything we do not only creates systems that brings you in leads that sell themselves, but also helps you build a top performing team that leads themselves. And it comes down to 3 key areas. Number 1 is first knowing how to win the market. This is the key to knowing how to create positioning that makes you a true market of one, both to your clients and to your team. We use our innovative gap method that uses science-backed approach to identify the key industry gaps and connect them to your innovative approach to solving them. This creates a true market of one where you become the only and undeniable solution in your market. So you can not only create limitless demand, have clients chasing you, and effectively charge 5 to 10 times more than the market standard, but there's also going to be 0 questions on what your method or your world-changing message is because it's all encapsulated inside of your innovative gap methodology. So once we have that, you can now apply that inside of your bingeable decision systems. This is where the amplification happens. So this is where I was talking about. You need to be able to create the leadership spaces and the systems that allow you to be able to hand off entire chunks of your business. So we do this by turning marketing on its head because you're no longer having to have you sell your leads, but having your leads sell themselves. And this is powerful because now you've built systems that do the heavy lifting for you. So we do this by creating a system that works with how people naturally make decisions and then just mirroring it inside of a bingeable series. So just like Netflix gets you to sit down and binge watch an entire series without taking any breaks and becoming a diehard fan, we're creating the systems that allow your clients to binge their way to an easy yes. And we use the power of the Netflix effect to turn binging into your biggest asset. So your leads are quite literally binging their way to an easy yes. This is how you get leads to sell themselves. And the coolest part about it is you're systemizing your entire process of client acquisition and delivery and retention, which I'm going to get into next. So when you do this, you create ownership, you create space for your team to be able to take on entire pieces of your business. Now, the third and final piece is actually being able to deliver on the results you've promised because you actually want a successful business that's not just here today and gone tomorrow. You need to be able to be better than just good at marketing and sales. So when you have delivery systems, those are what's going to allow you to drive results for your clients at scale. It's why we created what we call our happy client machine, because it teaches our clients how to create systems and strategies inside your offers themselves so that they're not only driving incredible results for your clients, but they're becoming less reliant on you. Again, something else that you can include your team on so that they can come in and take on ownership of complete pieces of the puzzle. So you not only have clients who are singing your praises to anyone they meet, but they're actually able to do that while you're enjoying your life. You're creating a business you love. You're having a team that's able to support every aspect of it. So if you're ready to see how the Easy Yes method can be applied to your business, I want to invite you to a growth optimization call. On this call, we're going to sit down. We're going to look at your client acquisition systems and how they're positioned inside of the market. And I'm going to show you how you can turn your transformational work into a bingeable masterpiece where your leads are able to sell themselves and they're begging to work with you. And you have a team that's able to lead themselves if that's something that fits your business. And if I truly believe that I can support you, I'll show you how we can work together to bring that to life. So I want you to go book your call right now. Head on over to easyesleads.com/call to book your growth optimization call right now. But if you want to learn a little bit more about how the Netflix effect works, if you're new around here, first of all, welcome. So excited to have you. But I want to show you how the Easy Yes method can work. And I can invite you to go check out the free bingeable mini series where I break down the exact 3-step process on how we get high intent ready buyers to sell themselves using the Netflix effect. So you can head on over to thenetflixeffect.com to check out this mini series. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode because it really should have shifted the way that you look at how you build and grow and actually retain a team, a high-performing team that's successful beyond you, but also understanding how all the pieces of your business really work together. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, I would love and appreciate if you could just take 1 minute out of your busy day to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend, because it helps us create a movement that changes the way that experts are doing business so that they're able to get their leads to sell themselves, but more importantly, they're able to create world-changing methods that create massive transformation and change the world. So until next time, here's to keeping it real.